Let's talk a little bit. I'll introduce myself, and we'll let Bill talk about himself for a second. Steve Rozenberg, and being someone who's gone through this before with 9/11, with the 2008 recession, with Hurricane Ike, Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Katrina, and some other disasters in between that have been speckled in between. I'm definitely no stranger to disasters. I'm no stranger to pullbacks and recessions and everything else that we've all experienced in this industry, or maybe some people haven't experienced this and this is their first time, which seems to be the case. But I've gone through a lot of downturns, and the reason that I'm doing this webinar tonight is that I want you to understand that you have to start having a new way of thinking. You've got to start thinking that there is a new way around what you're doing. And when you listen to this tonight, as you sit there, you are going to intuitively start thinking of a different way to look at maybe a problem towards a solution. We're going to talk about what is going on in the Denver market. We are going to talk about what possibly you can do to invest in the Denver market or out of the Denver market, but we're going to make sure that it aligns with your goals and it aligns with your strategies. Because what I want to do is I want to make sure that you understand that when it comes to investing and you are trying to get involved in investing, or you are an investor or you're a business owner, whatever it is you do, nobody have I've ever met says that they've been successful by doing it all on their own, right? Everyone I know that is successful does this with a team. They have a team of professionals. And if you are the least professional on your team, then maybe you need to rethink how you're operating, because maybe you need to step up your level a little bit to make sure that you are operating at your optimum level. And having those people help you, whether it's a property management company, whether it's a mentor like Bill, whatever it is you do, I don't care who you use, but make sure that you really think about what your strategies are and what your goals are. And when you leave tonight, I really hope that you take the time and you make the commitment to set the goals, because setting your goals and making sure that you plan out your future, especially in times like these, as Bill and I will talk about tonight, will make you not waver in what you're doing. It'll make you more committed to what you're doing, and it'll make you more focused in what you're doing. And that, I think, is the key to this. Now, there's three things I really hope that you're going to learn tonight. And the main things I want you to learn is that, number one, what is the current state of COVID-19, the coronavirus in the Denver market, which Bill is an expert. We're going to talk about what your strategies and your goal alignments are going to be for this. And we're going to talk about some technology that you can use, whether you're investing locally in Denver or out of state. I don't care where you are. We're going to give you some tools that you can take home. So there's no reason why you will not succeed, except for the fact that you don't do anything when this is over. And, I just want to take a minute that, Bill Twyford, and whether he remembers this or not, I remember I first met Bill sitting in a class of his, and I think it was 2005, Bill, back in Houston.
Oh, man.
And I remember watching you speak, and then I went to a class that you had in Atlanta. I believe it was 2006 maybe, and that's when we actually met and connected, chatted. And, without Bill knowing it, he's been a mentor of mine over the years as I've evolved as an influencer, as a speaker. Bill taught me my first NLP course, which I still use to this day. So talk about a guy that is just an icon in the real estate industry. I could not have asked a more informed, intelligent, influential person than Bill Twyford. So Bill, first of all, thank you for taking the time. I know you are not in Denver. You are in Florida right now on a quarantine mission. Is that right?
Yes, I am. I'm in South Florida right now. I'm on vacation for a month. That's
nice.
What I say anyway. I'm on a forced vacation for a month.
That's cool, man.
We all have to stay inside down here, so that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a honey-do list for my wife. She's like, I need 100 videos. I need this. I need that for websites. I'm like, okay, we'll do them. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. That's I think we all have these honeydews that we've got these lists that we haven't really been thinking about, that now all of a sudden we're like, all right, I guess I got to get to it. I can't think of anything else I should do. So I guess I better pull out that list and start checking some stuff off.
That's exactly right.
So Bill, let's talk about the Denver market and the Denver situation. You're an expert in Denver. You know it, you live it, you breathe it. And you are part of the real estate group there, correct? The Denver.
Yes, the Colorado RIA. We own the Colorado RIA. It's coloradoria.com, and we meet the third Wednesday of every month. And it's great. Now, we didn't meet in March. We had to do a virtual meeting, and we're going to do that in April too, and maybe May, just depending on what's going on. I mean, the whole state of Colorado's locked down, and they're in the process of locking down Florida next. So, it is what it is. We just have to take this time, just like you said, Steve, take this time and just move forward, because, like you and I have talked, a couple days ago, I just said, I look at this as like a 1 month vacation, but I'm doing stuff that I needed to do over the last year that I just haven't been able to get to because I've been traveling so much, speaking so much. We've got so many properties all over the country that we're working on and students that we train. So, it's good to have this downtime, because what I'm doing is I'm ramping up for when they open the floodgates and let everybody out again. So, I kind of say this is like preseason, guys and gals. Season's going to start when they let everybody out. And right now is the time you need to be practicing. You need to be working hard. You need to be thinking about, hey, listen, you know what? I wanted to learn those scripts. I wanted to learn that NLP training. I wanted to learn how to wholesale. I want to learn how to short sale. I want to learn all that stuff. Now's the time to learn it, because you've got your downtime. Now's not the time to watch a friend's marathon for the next 16 days. Do your real estate training.
It's funny you say that, Bill, because, and now just for people to understand, all those things that you just talked about, you do, and you currently are doing them, and you train people how to do the wholesale flipping and everything that you talk about. So you are not just talking and pontificating, you are actually doing these things. So I think it's important for people to realize that you are in the heat of battle, grinding it out like everyone else. And so you are, an expert in the market. So for those of you watching, this is the time, if you have questions, Bill and myself are the people that you want to ask. So if you really want to know what's going on and you want to ask some down and dirty questions about COVID-19 and what's going on, or goals and strategies, or how to grow and exponentially grow your wealth, we are the people to ask. So Bill, what do you see going on in Denver right now with everything?
Well, I got to tell you what, it's funny you asked that, because, the virus is taking over everywhere, and, it is what it is. So it's just that the hand that we're dealt. So we have to play the cards that are in our hand right now. That's the way I look at it. So, if we've got a bad hand here, we just got to get through this thing and just keep pushing through it, so it is what it is. The Denver market really has started stalling in the data that I look at, and I go on a site called todaysrealestatemarkets.com. That's today's with an S, realestatemarkets.com. And that's a site you got to get on. It's a pay site. You can buy it by the state. You can buy it by the county. You can buy it by the whole United States if you want. So you can go there and look, but that's where we get our technical analysis data, that we look at this stuff. And at our RIA meeting in July of 2018, we were looking at graphs and charts and, slide bars and stuff that's in this program. And I told everybody, we had about 120 people in the audience, and I told everybody, I said, listen, we're at the point right now where Denver is starting to crest and starting to change, because we could see what was going on in the markets with our, with our blue line, our green line, and our red line in our graph. And you could see where they crossed and they started coming down. And I had two realtors, they said, hey, we're still getting multiple offers and we still have hot areas. And I agreed. I said, you are getting multiple offers. You still have hot markets in Denver, but it started cresting in July of 2018. And now it's gone like this, but in the last like 3 months, it's gone like this. It's really, the lines are starting to really straighten, go from 8% down to 2%, like a drop of about 6%. That's all pre-virus. Okay, so it's already making its move to a correction without the virus. It was already doing that before the virus was even, out there.
Yeah.
So I think this will push it a little bit more. But the thing is, we look at zip codes, counties, neighborhoods, and this market is really, I mean, this tool that we use really goes deep into, from this side of Evans to this side of Colfax, from here to there. This is the area to invest in, because this is the area that's going up. I told people back in 2017, I said, listen, your places to work in Denver is going to be 80219, 80216, 80030, and 80010. I said, those are your markets, because they're the markets right now that are the coldest, and everything around them was hot. So I said, those markets sooner or later are going to pick up. Well, now if you look at the data, those are the 4 markets that are just going up, and the other ones are cooling down. But see, everything is cyclical. It goes in cycles, like you said, whether it's 9/11 or 2008 or Harvey or Ike or the coronavirus or H1N1, whatever it is, things are cyclical. Things come and go. And I want to make sure you guys understand this will pass. And in a year, you'll be saying, COVID what? Because you'll be just moving. 80,000 people a year die from the flu. And I was just telling you before we get on here, 1,772 people a day die from heart attacks. And McDonald's is still open. They still have the drive-through going. So you got to kind of look. We're not getting out of this alive.
Yeah.
So we just got to look. When it's our time, it's our time. You just have to be safe, and you just got to go out there and do what you do. My whole routine really hasn't changed. I still go out, but I'm just careful of what I do. Make sure I take hand sanitizer with me, and I just go on about my day,
Okay.
And not let it slow me down that much.
Sure. So let me ask you, Bill, when it comes to Denver and the strategies that, if you were going in there and you were giving advice, mentoring someone, and you were telling them, listen, this is the strategy to go for now, right? There's a certain time, and this I think is important, because a lot of people think that a goal is I'm going to flip and I'm going to buy and hold. And I tell them that is not a goal. That is a strategy. That's like saying I'm going to get on the freeway. You got to get somewhere. The flipping, the wholesaling, the whatever you're doing is a freeway to get you to a destination. So in the Denver market right now, because it's, obviously the prices are going to be coming down, as we know. So it's going to be a seller's market. A buyer's market.
Right.
What would you recommend advice-wise, and in what areas, what strategy would you implement in those areas?
Well, it's funny you asked that, because people ask me that all the time at the RIA. And I always tell them, listen, you've got to go to the grassroots of where the foreclosure starts. You really have to start getting out in front of those homeowners that are in distress and working your deals with them, and getting the deals before the realtors get them, getting the deals before they go into foreclosure, and getting the deals to where you can buy them. There's a lot of people in Denver that have equity in their home, but there's a lot of people in Denver that are behind in payments. There's a lot of people in distress. Now, distress can be divorce, it can be bankruptcy, it can be, late payments, it could be foreclosure, it could be all types of stuff. In February of 2018, there were 1,476 people that were in some sort of distress in Denver when it came to their finances at that time. Because I work with a lot of people that are 30, 60, 90, 120-day late leads that we get from a company out of California that gets them from the credit bureau. They're mortgage late leads. This year, February of this year, just last month, that same number went from 1,476 to 12,327.
Wow.
It went from 1,476 to 12,327. So just because the market was going like this, what happens, people get comfortable and they go, my house, I bought it for 275. Now it's worth 380. I've got 105,000 in, equity. I've got good credit. Credit card companies are handing out credit, and you know what? They start overspending. So I tell people in a market like we're in right here, get into the grassroots of the people behind in payments, because you have a lot of people out there that got $400,000 houses that they owe 225, 230 on, and they're falling behind in payments. Start talking to them, start working those deals. You can do equity splits with the homeowners. You can do all kinds of stuff. And I teach that. We've got a lot of students making a lot of money in Denver right now on equity partnering with the homeowners because they have a lot of equity in their homes. So we start out with that and then turn around. And, you know, it's like they always say, you don't make money on the house when you sell it. You make money when you buy it. So if you're working the MLS, you're not going to get a lot of good deals on the MLS. Okay. Yeah. It's just not there right now. So you've got to be working what everybody else is not wanting to do. And that's really get out there and work with those homeowners that are in distress. A lot of investors, you know, they want to buy, rehabbers want to buy from wholesalers. But the problem is a lot of wholesalers, if you're not a big wholesaler, what happens is you might just have 1 or 2 or 3 deals a year that you flip. The problem is you don't prospect enough. You don't prospect enough. Then you try to take all the meat off the deals that you've got. And then what happens is the guys that buy houses from you, if they're newbies and stuff and they don't really know what they're doing, they end up losing money on it. Right now, we're at a record for people that are in Denver that are in foreclosure that have, we see more houses now that are in foreclosure that are totally rehabbed that are investor owned with hard money.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. We're seeing it because we're in the streets. We're in the streets all the time.
You know, I wonder how many deals with, especially with what's going on right now. And I keep meaning to ask my buddy who's a hard money lender, how many people that are in the middle of the rehab that are not going to be able to get their financing on the conventional side. So they're going to be stuck with this hard money loan at this high interest rate. How many, and I reached out to my buddy. I said, hey, if you get any deals that seem pretty ripe that you need to unload, because despite what people think, hard money lenders do not want properties. They want their money to be rotating in the velocity of money.
All the time. Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? If you get a deal that someone can't get a loan out of, you know, let me know. I'd be interested in it. And I think that's where, again, very much like you said, it's the, you know, practice on the, you know, sweat on the practice field so you don't bleed on the battlefield, right? This is the time that you should be practicing your craft. This is the time that you should really be studying the right strategy. Like you said, that's when you go in and you're able to talk to the homeowners. Well, how do you talk to the homeowners? Well, you got to have scripts. Well, how do you get your scripts? Well, you got to practice. Yeah. And I think what's important to know is, you know, you've got to start, if you back this up one higher level, the biggest challenge that I've seen with investors, and myself included when I first got into this, was they don't start with the end in mind, meaning they don't know why they're doing it and they don't know the goal as to why they're even talking to this owner, why they're flipping this property, and what kind of numbers they need. They're just doing it to do it. It's like they're driving around the neighborhood and they're never even getting on the highway.
It's just boredom is what it is.
Yeah, you know, and I always think that's the thing, is like you've got to figure out what your Disneyland is. And once you know where your Disneyland is, now you got to figure out what freeways you're going to take to get there. Because at the end of the day, you know, our big value in doing this is, you know, everybody has a different reason. We all have a different why.
Right.
And I think the challenge is that if you don't have your why and your why is not strong enough, these times like this, they derail you from why you're even doing this, right? I mean, how long have you been in the business for, Bill? How many years?
I've been in the real estate business since 1994. I was an agent for 4 years and I sold 574 homes in 4 years. Then I got into real estate investing with investors and I flipped 80 homes my first year. So I know how to do real estate and I've been doing it ever since. But the thing is, you know, you got to do, and I tell this to students all the time and audiences all the time, you got to prospect to find deals, you got to qualify your customers, you got to do effective lead follow-up, and you got to learn how to negotiate and close. Those 4 things for any single business, you got to do that. And if you don't do that, you know, and what I find out in this business, investors will go out and they'll prospect for a little bit, maybe 2-3 weeks. They'll get a couple deals under contract, and then they'll stop prospecting and they'll work those deals to get them closed so they can make some money. And then what happens is now they become emotionally attached to their transactions. One deal falls apart, all of a sudden they're completely in panic mode trying to get this deal closed, and when they should be prospecting and putting more deals in their funnel, but they don't.
Yeah. That's the to me, that is the difference of a business or a job. And
Right.
I tell people, when you own real estate, you've got to own it as a business, meaning it has to operate without you, which is systems, policies, procedures,
Right.
structure, so that you don't have these start stops. Because I remember when I was wholesaling back in the day, I remember I was trying to create as many systems as I could to make as much automation as possible because,
Right.
and again, I think the biggest thing that I learned was my why was so strong. The how, that's, you got to put in the work, right? You got to roll up your sleeves and do some dirt. And I think a lot of people, they don't think once they're doing that dirt and they're putting in the work, they don't realize why they're even doing it. So they're like, you know what? I don't need to do this. Like, I could get a job, right? I can get a job and do this. And, the one thing I always say, Bill, and I'm curious your thoughts is, I think as investors and entrepreneurs, we tend to be selfish. When I say we, I don't think you and I are, but I think in general. And the reason I say we're selfish is we get these courses. We go see Bill Twyford on stage. They come see me speak. They buy our books. They do this. They never actually share it with anyone else in their family. No. And they hoard the information. And I know you and Dwan and, you guys are a team and your whole family does real estate. A lot of people, I think they're selfish because they don't share that and they're so out of alignment with everyone else in their environment. And you're kind of that weird guy in the corner on the weekend throwing signs and everyone's like, what is he doing? And nobody knows what you're doing because you don't communicate that. And I think it's, and your children and, you're that guy and all of a sudden 3 years later, you're like, oh, I need 20,000 for a roof and a rehab. And your wife's like, what? Like, we're not doing that. And now there's a drama. And then how many times do you have to be a marriage counselor for people that you mentor?
Oh man, I got to tell you what, it's tough, because you got like the wife will come to the workshop. She'll get all excited and be on board and the husband would just shut the door. He's not there. Now, if he was there, he would see us. He would understand what we're trying to do. And we tell people, listen, we're not trying to teach you how to become a bird dog for somebody else. Because a lot of these groups out there, they have all these people that are bird dogging for them and they're bringing deals to people, so they can build their business. But all they are glorified bird dogs. So what I tell people is what we do is we teach you to have a self-sustained business of your own. So if you move to Houston, you can start a business. If you move to Albuquerque, New Mexico, you can start that business. You go to Seattle, you can start that business. It works everywhere. But a lot of people, you're right, they're like weekend warriors. They buy a house, they think it's fun. They don't tell anybody what their plans are or their goals, which is the worst thing to do because when you have goals, you need to share it. A lot of people write a business plan and put it in the safe and not tell anybody. It's like, okay, well, how are you going to achieve that if you don't have the people around you helping you and saying, let's go, rah, 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 let's go. You got to share your plan. You got to share your goals with everybody so they can help you achieve those goals. That's the way I look at it.
That's so true. And if I were to define it out, I would say you got to have your goal, right? You got to have your why. And then from there, you've got to create your strategy, meaning you've got to figure out how you're going to get there.
Right.
Then I say you've got to have the financial picture because the numbers are what's going to dictate whether or not this thing's even going to get on the highway or not. And does it make sense, right? Because you and I both know real estate has nothing to do with emotion. It is all numbers.
It's all numbers.
And last, you got to have an exit strategy. How are you getting off the freeway, right? There's Disneyland as you're driving past it. Like there it is, and you don't know how to get off the road. And I think that to me and what I learned so valuable that I didn't have initially was that's what mentors and that's what a team gives you. That's what having that being vulnerable enough to have that conversation and say, you know what, I don't know what to do, but I want to learn and I want to do what's right. And I want to educate myself because I think that's the thing is a lot of us think that we should be doing this on our own. And when something like coronavirus happens or 2008 or anything, we don't know what to do because that wasn't in the book, you know?
Right.
And you talk to people like you and I, and we're like, yeah, it sucks, but here's how you get through it. You do this, you do that, you shore up your collateral, you go in and start buying. And most people would be like, buy? I don't think we should be buying. It's like, no, let me push you in the foxhole here. You're going to buy, like, let's go, you know? And that's, but I think that at times like this, and tell me what your thoughts are, people want to be led. They want to be told it's okay. They want someone to say, this is how we're going to get through this. Do you see that as well?
I see that as well. And, you know, a lot of these people are what we call unconscious incompetence. They don't know what they don't know. They watch TV and they think, oh my gosh, a bathroom, I can do that. They do it in 24 hours. It might take me 2 days. And they find out it takes them 3 weeks, you know, so that doesn't help. You know, they become weekend warriors, what I call them. You know, they got a full-time job. The first couple weekends working on this new project, husband and wife, they're excited. But after the third or fourth week, they're just like, what are we doing here? How did we get in this situation? You know, how are we going to get out of this? Because they're on the freeway, but they don't know how to get off.
Yeah.
You know, just like you said. And the biggest thing, what you were saying when you're going through all those steps, then once you know what you got to do, because, you know, you go from the E quadrant up to the S quadrant, which is now you're self-employed. You know, you've quit your job. You've basically got a job, but you're working for yourself.
Making way less than you did at your regular job too, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. You know, so you want to get over the B quadrant, but the thing is, to get to that quadrant, you got to have systems in place. You got to have, you know, people trained to do the business when you're gone, so it can expand, so you don't have to be there. And that's the whole thing. I tell people, listen, the fastest way to learn your scripts is to get out in front of homeowners and door knock them. Find out who's in distress and go get them and talk to them. You'll learn your script really fast, and you'll also learn that you really don't know what you're talking about yet. And that's going to get you out in front of the front lines and getting out there. But then what you got to do is master your skill. Get really good at communication skills and talking to these distressed homeowners or these other investors that you're working with, if you're buying houses or rehabbers you're selling to, whatever your strategies are, master your skill and then teach somebody else how to do certain parts of your business. Don't teach one person how to door knock, how to get the contract signed, how to get the transaction over to the title company, and how to get the deal closed to cash the check, because they might be making $4,000 and you're making $40,000 and they did the whole deal. And all of a sudden they're going to be like, well, I don't need you. I can go do this on my own and make the whole 40. So train people. Don't cross train them. Train them into where they're specific in what they do for your system.
Yeah, you got to work to people's strengths.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, very true. So, Bill, I want to talk a little bit about, you know, my main thing is buy and hold, and I know you own real estate all over the country, probably the world now, but you own stuff all over the country.
Right.
Now, what I've always learned on real estate, and I just want to get your thoughts, and I've got this software I want to kind of show everyone. I've always learned that there's basically 5 ways that you own real estate, or reasons why you would buy or not buy it. We can call them whatever they want. I call them very simply. First one is cash flow, right? You buy it based on cash flow.
Yep.
Second one would be that you buy it on equity capture.
Mm-hmm.
Next one would be debt pay down.
Right.
Next is depreciation.
Okay.
And last is appreciation. So other things all funnel to these. Now, depreciation and debt pay down, those are pretty much going to happen on your own, right? So if you're looking at a house in Denver and you're looking to find a deal, depreciation and debt pay down, if you can keep a tenant in there for a good amount of time, they're going to pay down the debt. If you know anything about hiring a CPA, or you do it yourself, however you want to do it, you're going to depreciate the property. Right. Now, what I think of is the 3 things are the cash flow, the equity capture, and appreciation. Mm-hmm. And that's when you make decisions based on your strategies and based on your goals to make the determination of, okay, which one of these 3 is most important, because I may not get all 3, right? I'm not gonna get all 5 in one, right?
Right.
So it's like you're going out dating, right? You're not gonna get all, right? You're gonna get 1 or 2.
Right.
So which ones are the most important? And I tell people that depends on your goals, which ultimately depends on your strategy. And that's how you know if it makes sense or doesn't make sense. Now, do you agree with that, or is that?
I agree with that 100%. You know, realistically, wealth is made in real estate through appreciation, but that's getting into the right area at the right time. And it might not be for a long-term hold. You get into an area like let's just say right now, Spokane, Washington, or Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. You know, those markets 5 years ago were just dead. Now there's some of the hottest markets in the country. And you could have gone in there, bought down here, and now they're up here, and you sell it and 1031 exchange it to somewhere else that's down here, and just keep working and keep building it. And you're playing off the appreciation going across the country doing that. Just playing the markets, almost like the stock market, but you're playing the real estate market.
And that is exactly part of the exit strategy. That's why I tell people, like, if you're going to do a 1031, you're going to buy that in a certain type of entity, or you're going to be ready to exit that property in a certain amount of time. Same thing if you're putting it to your family in a trust or whatever it is you're doing, but you're going to exit that a different way. So just like you said, you look at different markets. This may be a placeholder property, and that's why, you know, even if you're in Denver, and that's what I want to talk about next, is even if you're in the Denver market, doesn't mean that your strategy matches the current environment for Denver, because maybe you say, man, I need properties that are cash flowing, and for whatever reason, as part of my portfolio, that's my main priority, and I don't see any here in Denver. So I go, how do I find different properties? Like, how do I go outside of my realm? So one of the things that Mynd did, which I thought was really, really cool, was they purchased a software company that had a software called Investimate. And I think you've seen this.
Yeah, I have.
So I'm going to show people, I'm just going to share my screen and show people, because I thought it was a pretty slick thing that they did here. Let me see if I can be smart enough.
I'm 62 years old, so I might have to put my glasses on to see this.
All right, let me see if I can. Now you put me under pressure, man. I don't know if I'm going to be able to live up to this. So can you see my screen here?
I can see it, man.
Okay. All right. So this Investimate is in about, I believe they're in about 17 to 20 markets. Mm-hmm. Now you can pick any city that you want, right? You can pick, you know, obviously I made the slide, so I picked Austin, Houston, and Dallas, right? Because I got the slide, so I made them. So, but you can pick whichever ones you want and go, okay, let me see what these cities, or you can pick any. Now you go and you can say, okay, for example, I want to invest in these cities. I have $100,000. I'm going to finance it. Any investment strategy in any neighborhood, meaning A, B, C, or D, which is crime statistics and everything like that.
Right.
School rating, it goes 1 through 10. And now I've learned that in, you know, managing, you know, a lot of rental properties, that school districts mean a lot to residents.
There's so much. They mean so much to buyers.
Right. And now you've got the year that it's built, and then you can decide if you want a multifamily, whether it was recently added, whether it's a hot investment, tenanted, or a new construction. So these are what I've learned in the business of called filters. So these are their filters that they have. So I say, I want a property. I've got $100,000. I'm looking in these 3 cities, and I want any neighborhood but a good school district. It says, okay, Steve, we found you this property. Now, this property was built in 2012, $117 a square foot, and it's 2,071 square feet, and it's a 3-2. Now, if you look at the pictures over here to the right, pretty nice property. Now, Bill, as you know, with your sister living here in Houston and being down here, these are kind of standard Texas properties for the most part. So for people that don't know, this is pretty standard here.
Yeah.
Then it says
that house right there would be $280 a square foot in Denver, and would be, you know, $450.
Wow. Yeah. So now you go here and it says, okay, Steve, based on your numbers and based on your data, the estimated value is 263. We think based on numbers, it's 243. So if 243 is the purchase price. And here's your comps that support the numbers. So it's giving you the numbers. Now, what I like about this is it gets very granular here. It goes in, it gives you the comps for the rent, right? 2,071 square feet at $1.02 a square foot is telling you estimated is $21.12. But if you want to rent it very quickly, $21.10 is the number. And again, it goes off of comps here. So these are basic comps, like, you know, any MLS system can give you this. Now, here's what I really like. It says, Steve, based on this zip code, there are 7,300 households, a population of 23,000 people. 82% of these people own their home, 18% rent. The labor force, 63% are white collar, 36% are blue collar. So now I'm starting to get a better picture as to who can afford this property and what am I buying. Right. Then it says my rent is $2,110. The average rent is $1,679. It's kind of small, but it says 83% of the rental properties in this neighborhood have a rent greater than $2,100. So I know I'm not buying a white elephant that nobody could buy.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Then it says, oh, I already got there. So this says, okay, Steve, if you own this property for 30 years, after 30 years, this property, based on historical data, will be worth 1.397, 218,000 in cash flow. You will have an equity of 1.1 million. Now it shows you the appreciation, but if you look at the green line, this is actually showing you the cash flow. So my point on this is if I looked at this property and said, I want to make cash flow right away, it's going to go, well, that's not going to happen until about year 12 or 13, realistically.
Right.
So if you buy this now and assume you're making cash flow based on looking at this chart, you need to revise how you're looking at charts, basically.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I didn't show you is in another slide. I didn't want to take too much time. It shows you that the average tenancy is every 2 years. So year 1, you get a tenant. Year 2, they stay. Year 3, they're gone. That's why the cash flow is negative. Year 4, they're there. Year 5, they're gone. Now, you can obviously beat those numbers, right? But it's saying this is based on historical data, right? Now, what I really like about this, even better, is this part. This is what they call their portfolio builder. Now, this portfolio builder, if I took the same cities, Austin, Dallas, and Houston, but now I have $1 million and I want to finance it and I want to aggressively grow this. It says, okay, Steve, based on those parameters, you can buy 13 properties, portfolio value of 3.7 million. You'll be out of pocket 1.1. You'll have a rent roll of 30,000 a month. Your appreciation will be 4.73. You'll have a 5.49 yield, and you'll get a projected return of 25%. So it's actually telling you that's what you do with your $1 million. Now, it goes on further to say, here is what it's going to be, 3.7, 30,000 in rent, 25%, 30 years, you will have $12,800,000. Your cash flow will be 1.4 million over the term, and you'll get a projected equity of 11 million. Now, again, I drew that little arrow to be fancy, just to show you that's where the cash flow takes off. But this tells you exactly what your forecast is based on historical data. And then it says, by the way, Steve, here are the properties that will get you to where you want to go. We found 7 right away that are ready to go for what you want.
Right.
I got to say, man, that is pretty slick.
Yeah, that's great. That is great. It shows you properties that are right there.
It shows, yeah, this is live. These are pocket listings and MLS listings.
Yeah.
And, I think it's important that, again, this is a tool, right? It's like anything. It's like a wrench in your toolbox.
Yeah.
It's only as good as you use it. Now, I love the fact that Mynd actually makes this free for anybody. No obligation, no nothing. And if anybody wants to know about it, they'll have the opportunity. They can sign up at the end if they want to see it. But, what I think is important, Bill, about, you and I talking tonight is that so many people think that they should do it themselves. And I think that's the difference between a landlord and an investor, right? The landlord is the guy who wants to run around Denver or whatever city USA he's in.
Yeah.
He wants to be the one who credit checks everybody. He wants to be the one to pick up the guys at Home Depot. He wants to check SKUs.
He doesn't delegate.
Doesn't delegate, right? You have an investor.
Like he can do it.
Yeah, exactly. You get an investor, people like you and I, we get deals brought to us. we assess the numbers, we
Yep.
throw them into these kind of, software tools.
Yep.
We assess the deal and then go, you know what, based on this, let's lock it up, send someone out there, get it inspected. Let me know. Let's look at the numbers. We got an option period. Let's make a move.
Right.
But you've never actually left your desk.
Right.
And I think that's the key here that people need to understand, that I hope that we can convey to them. And I'm curious, I always say that I've never met anyone wealthy that says, I did it all by myself. I've never had anybody help me. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
There's two ways to learn in this world, through mentors and through mistakes. What one's cheaper?
Man, I could tell you, oh man, if I had oh boy, that's a great one, because I could tell you for a fact, the amount of money that I've invested a lot of money in being mentored, and I still am to this day, coached and mentored in self-development. And I'm a firm believer in that, because I've touched that hot stove one time too many, getting there, and I think that once you touch that hot stove, it's huge. And I think that, one of the things I try to explain to people is, if you were to imagine that you are sitting at your desk, right? And I always try to get people to really, really envision this. You're sitting at your desk and there is people bringing you deals, and you're able to look onto a software. And when you're looking onto this software, you're able to assess if this deal makes sense or doesn't make sense, right? Because you've had a strategy session with either Bill or myself. Right. And we've had a conversation to tell you and talk with you about your goals and about your strategies. Now you're mentally equipped to go onto the software, to look at the deals. Then you decide, I want this deal. So you close on the property. You get a management company to take over the property. They get the make ready done. They put a tenant in the property. They get it rented. They wire the money to your bank account, and you've never once left your desk.
Yeah. No, that's it.
That's it, right?
That's part of the system that's put together there. That's the thing that's nice about that. And, I got to tell you, when I started the business in 1994, I got my real estate license in July. And the first thing I did was I went out to an event, because the guy that I was working for, my broker manager at Coldwell Banker, Don LaFavor, he said, you sound so much like this guy. You need to go out to Mike Ferry and listen to Mike Ferry. So I went out to a superstar retreat, and I went there, and he says, I'm taking 12 people, and it's $1,000 a month. I'm going to work with them one-on-one. And you know what? Go back, buy all my programs, do what you got to do. And I got to tell you what, I went back there. I bought all the programs. There was like 40 different programs. I bought all of them. It was like $4,200. And then I got in the one-on-one, which is $12,000. So I spent about $17,000 back in 1994. Now that was a hell of a lot. It's a lot of money now, but it was a hell of a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
But I just jumped in and said, you know what? I don't want to make the mistakes. I want to learn from somebody that can teach me how to go out and prospect, how to go out and qualify, how to go out and do effectively follow up and close. So that's the nice thing about having a mentor, having tools like this. You remember before, heck, we didn't have the internet. We had to go down to the courthouse and go dig up names and stuff like that, because it was public notice. It was in the newspapers and things like that. You don't, right now, people have it so easy. It makes them become lazy. That's the thing.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. I hate to be that old guy that talks about back in the day, but it's so true. And I think that so many people could learn from just having a conversation. And that's why, I put this up on the screen, and Bill, I want you to give people your advice and your, how to access you, or they can do it through here and I can send them to you. But, let's have a conversation, because that's what it's about. If you want to talk to me, or you want to talk to someone from our team, that really is the key to success. You're not going to be successful doing it on your own, right? If you want to talk about this software, you want to have a conversation with someone from our team to really give you that guidance, because to me, I think this should be something that you're on the same side of the table with, to say, hey, Bill, hey, Steve, what should I do? Give me your advice. Is this the right move for me? Not for you, not for hundreds of people. And I know that you do mentoring where you actually come to the city and you talk to people. And can you talk a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, what I do is I have a thing called the Apprentice Program where you hire me, I come and work with you at your house or your office for 2 days. I take you out into the streets. I show you how to build the foundation for your business, whatever your business is, whether it's commercial, whether it's just residential, multi-units, whatever it is, I'll show you how to build what you want to build. And then what I do is I work with you one-on-one over the phone, through Skype or whatever we got to do. I work with you one-on-one for 2 years after that. And, it's called our apprentice training. You can get a hold of me at Bill Twyford at AOL.com. I think I'm the last guy on AOL. When I get off AOL, they're going to shut the door. But, I've been on that since 1999, so it is what it is. I just kept it, and I just figured, what the heck? I guess it's nostalgic now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's you're probably the only guy that's known that way. So now it's a point of difference, right?
It is. That's right, man. It is.
Well, that's great. And like I said, guys and ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that want to talk to me or my team and you want to know more about the software, it's free. So I don't know why you wouldn't. I don't know why you wouldn't go out there and, if you want to golf, go swing the golf club. You want to become successful as an investor, these are the things you have to do. You've got to make the commitment. You've got to show that you're willing to do, instead of binge watching Friends, like Bill said, put in some work, right? This is the time to make these commitments and put this work in, right? When people like Bill and myself are offering our time to talk to you, that is you don't get much more than that, right? It doesn't come more on a silver platter for you than having someone like Bill Twyford or myself offer our time to help you in the right guidance. I mean, this guy comes to your actual city.
It is. Yeah. It's COBA preseason right now, man. It is. We're in preseason. We got to open the gates, and you know what? You and I, Steve, will be on the move.
Well, without a doubt, I tell people there will be more millionaires made this year through real estate because of the ones who take action. You probably won't hear about them because the media you won't hear people talking about them, but more wealth will be created because the people that are on here, people that are watching this, that they're going to click on this link, are going to take action, and they are going to make the decision to take the next step. Those are the ones that are going to be successful because they want to do it. They want to train. And look, Bill, people like you and I, we love helping those types of people. The ones that don't want help, I'd rather them not even be in the group or be on the call, because to me, they're kind of wasting space. I'd love for them to do it, but if they are not committed to doing it, why are you even on here? You don't have anything else to do tonight? I mean, really.
And I tell people ask me all the time, they go, if you had all the money in the world, what would you be doing? Honestly, I'd be doing what I'm doing right now, only on drugs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'd do more deals, more stuff, because I love what I'm doing. I have my dream job right now. I get to travel the country with my wife and my kids and speak and train people, take people from making $30,000 a year and take them up to $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year, depending on what their goals are. And Donald Trump had it right. He said, knowledge and education is everything. However, knowledge and education is nothing without action. If you don't take action, you're not going to do anything. And the thing is, I know a lot of smart people that don't make any money. They got PhDs, master's degrees, and they've got knowledge, they got education, but they don't take action. And that's a key thing. You're going to make bad decisions. Who on here has made a bad decision other than me? All of us have. We've all learned from our bad decisions. You can't take that as a failure. You have to take it as feedback. Okay, like a scientist looks at something that didn't work. He tweaks it, looks at something that didn't work. He tweaks it, all of a sudden, boom, it works. Now he knows what works. So he uses that system right there. And that's what this is that you're talking about, Steve.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. I think that, again, when I learned how to do what I was doing, when I was flipping and doing double closes and wholesales, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just told, go do it. Go knock on doors, make phone calls. After I had done it for about 2 years, that's when I started getting very good at it, and I learned how to communicate and scripts and everything. And people would say, what do you do again? Because they saw how much money I was making, and I would tell them, and they would go, you can't do that. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. I've just been doing this for 2 years. Like, had you told me 2 years ago, then maybe I would have thought about it. But telling me now, I don't think that's really the right way to, because I'm actually doing it. I just took action. If I would have listened to all the naysayers and negative talk and people saying, like, right now, right, how many people in this environment are going to tell you why it's so bad to be doing real estate in this coronavirus? How many people are going to say that, right? And you and I are going to be going, you know what? Set them aside, right? This is the time to build wealth. This is, to me, like, I'm looking at deals, and I've had so many people that I've talked to just in the last couple of days. I actually put a thing on here, said, how many people have renegotiated deals based on the current environment? Yeah. So many people said, I renegotiated. I had someone who would never do a seller financing. Now he's seller financing the property with me.
Right.
Those are people that have been training for this, that know how to ask those questions.
That's exactly right. And, and that's the thing. A lot of these people have to learn how to take action. And when you run into the naysayers and they're out there, I give them a few minutes. If I can't turn them into being not a naysayer, I just say, you're right. In your mind, you're not going to be able to do anything in this market. So I move away from them, because that's how the way you keep a crab in a bucket is you put another crab with him, because the minute the one crab tries to climb out, the other one's out. I'm putting you, bringing it back down. So you've got to eliminate the naysayers in your life, guys and gals. And you have to just say, listen, I'm moving forward on this train and we're making this work, and we're putting systems in place. And like you said, you went out and did it for a couple of years, you mastered your skill, and then you probably put people in place, systems in place to automate everything. And that's what you got to do.
Yeah, so true. And as we wrap up, the last thing I'll say is, if you're thinking of doing this, think of why you're doing this, whether it's for your family, whether it's something that you want to have for your future, for your retirement. Really understand why you're getting involved in real estate. And, that I think is the most important, because I talk to a lot of people that really don't know why they're doing it, and they never really stop and think. And I think it's so important that if you're going to get involved in real estate, have that alignment, know that your family's involved, know what is that Disneyland in your life that you want this to be, because money is not going to do it, right? The money buys us something. It buys us security, but it buys us something in our minds, right, Bill? And I don't know, everybody has a different Disneyland.
Yeah, it does. It does. And, the only thing that's, what drives me nuts about the virus really right now is, nothing's open except for like Home Depot. Well, that's all I need is Home Depot, really, and the grocery store. So yeah. I'm cool with that. But, it's nice to go out to eat once in a while. And, that's a little frustrating if they close everything down. But I guess we're better to be safe than sorry. And, so it's just all, just like you said, Steve, it's just putting things together. You're going to make a mistake. We all do. But you know what? Having mentors and having people standing right beside you that are going to go ahead and deflect those mistakes. I worked with a lady today. She went ahead and she's buying a property from her mentor, and her mentor's got it so marked up. He's making 23 grand on it. She'll be lucky to get out of it with the skin of her teeth. I mean, he's coaching her through this. So you have to really look at who's working with you and what's the rep, because this guy is just taking her to the cleaners. He's making 23 grand plus she's paying him to coach him. Wow. And she's going to, if she's lucky, she'll make $5,000 on the house. It's going to take her 4 months to do it. And I told her, I said, listen, we got to, because she's talking to me now about mentoring her. I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this, this, and this, and this. We're going to get you out of this deal before it goes too far. So we're working that, and that's a big thing. People have to not be afraid. This time will pass, just like all the last ones have. Yep. And you know what? The market will turn around. And, Denver's still a good market for long-term hold. But for cash flow, it's not there, guys and gals. Who wants to spend $450,000 for a house that rents for $2,000 a month? That doesn't make sense. Go to the Midwest and buy 10 houses for 40 grand that rent for $1,000 a month. It's
absolutely
not emotional.
The one thing I'll say is, the one thing I've noticed with the software, and I was talking to one of the guys, one of the salespeople, and we were talking about software. And what I thought was interesting is when you're looking at a deal, let's say you're in Denver, right? And you're looking at deals in Denver, and let's say you're on this software and you're swinging the club, and everything is 450, 450, 450. And all of a sudden something pops up, 225. Boom. You're going to go, wait a second. What's the deal with this? Then you find out it's an estate sale or a motivated seller.
Right.
Because you've been practicing and looking at the numbers consistently, that's how you notice the anomaly. If the first time you ever look at real estate prices is the day you have money in your hand, that to me is the time that you're going to fail, right? You've got to swing that golf club to know if you're hitting it right, left, center, whatever you're doing.
Yep.
That's, again, and that's how he told me. He said he bought a deal himself, and he said, because I saw a deal in there and it was an estate sale, and I'd been watching the numbers the whole time, and boom, it was that anomaly that was sticking out. He knew his numbers, and he was like, wait a second, that's not normal.
And what's funny, though, is a lot of people will go in and overanalyze the deal, and then it's gone.
Yep.
Like, you can't do that. You got to make quick decisions in real estate. And I had a lady just 2 weeks ago in Tampa. She said, you know what? I really like that stuff that you show about the neighborhoods and what's going on in the neighborhoods and the counties and the zip codes and really what's going on with markets. She goes, I love to analyze stuff. She goes, how do you think I'm going to do in real estate? I'm just starting. I said, well, one, analyzing stuff is great. But if you're going to analyze stuff too much, I said, you're never going to do a deal. I said, my job is to tell you the truth, not to tell you what you want to hear. So she goes, I do have to get better at that because I don't like to take action. I like to make sure everything is perfect before I take action. And you know what? Real estate's not about that. Real estate's about going with your gut and knowing the numbers, knowing your market, knowing what you got to do, and jumping on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
Bill,
jump on it and they won't get the deal.
So true, man. Taking action. So just like we talked about tonight, everybody, if you're watching this or you're watching this on the replay and everything, click on the link, talkwithstevr.com/Denver. You can get to me, you can get to Bill. But again, it's all about taking action. And that's the key here. Do something. I don't care what you do something. Bill, if they want to get a hold of you, how do they find you?
They can find me at billtwyford@aol.com. That's my email, my personal email. I'm the only one that checks that. Or they can also go to my site, which is investorsedgeuniversity.com. Investorsedgeuniversity.com. Investors with an S.
That's great. And for those of you that want to know more about Mynd Property Management, we are in 16 regions. So if you want to learn about how to scale, build wealth, again, that's the link you click on. We're happy to talk with you. Come up with a strategy for success. Try to understand that this is a team effort. This is not singular. Do not try to do this yourself because you will have a lot of heartache and chances of failure are very high on a solo basis.
And the thing of it is, every day at 5 o'clock Eastern time, I do a live video, a live Facebook for 10, 15, 20 minutes talking. And what I'm doing is I'm teaching that whole time. I'm just not giggling around and yakking on there. I'm teaching for that 10, 15, 20 minutes. So I take questions, all kinds of stuff every single day at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Every single day, just go to investorsedgeuniversity.com and just hook up and start following, get notified.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Bill, thank you so much for your time. Everybody that's watching, thank you. And we will catch you next time. Bill, as always, buddy, it's a pleasure. Thank you, my man.
See you, bro.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.